People ask me often, as an ambassador, what is it that are your goals? Well, one of them is that I can take this pin off of my lapel. I want to take this off because the day I do, it means that every last hostage has come home. I can't wait to rid myself of this pin because all the hostages are home. That's something I really work. Some of you have been here for a few days. If any of you have already been driven with the sirens into the shelters by Houthi missiles that come every few days. It's something my wife and I are just getting used to, which is kind of sad that you get used to that. And I was here not too long after October the 7th. I was visiting with a young Israeli mother. She was in her 30s. She had 4 children. And I was asking her, tell me how you handle every day rockets coming in from Hezbollah or Gaza. And she lived further up in the north. Most of the rockets she faced were from Hezbollah. And so she just paused a moment. She said, my husband is in Gaza. He's fighting there. I hope he's okay, but I really don't know day by day. She said, but every day I have the 4 children all by myself. And when I take them to school, sometimes we have to stop the car because the sirens are going off and we have to look for shelter wherever it is we are. And every night when I put them in bed, sometimes 2 and even 3 times a night, the sirens go off. We're all awakened. And I rush to gather up my 4 children and get them to the shelter so their lives will be spared. And without expressing not bitterness or anger, but just an honest moment, she looked at me and said, I'm just tired. Yeah, I'm tired. And I could see in the face the anguish of a mother, who, like the shepherd with the sheep, would give her life to protect her children. And knowing her husband may be doing that very thing in Gaza. And when she said, just tired, and in my heart, I've come to believe that my prayer, my hope is that I will be here long enough to see it. The day when she puts her children to bed at night and she sleeps all night long because there are no sirens, there are no missiles, there are no threats, and she will experience as a mom of 4 what today we gather to do, and that is to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Thank you. God bless you.
Yes, and you are a soldier in Israel?
Indeed, my name is Chaim Mailspin. Chaim is how you say to life. You raise your glass. L'chaim, it's not to me, it's to life. And life.
Arab and Islamic nation and must be finished. I believe Hamas wants to destroy us. Any Western nation who had a border with a terrorist committed to their destruction would be entitled to defend themselves and seek the elimination of the terror threat. Why is that right not extended to Israel? Israel will never agree to a ceasefire that leaves Hamas in control of Gaza, not after October 7, not after the war our people have lived through. Any nation that values peace must first demand the dismantling of Hamas. Anything less is not diplomacy, it is capitulation. Unlike the United States, the current posture of many governments in Europe, if left unchanged, will be read by our enemy not as a nuance, but as weakness.
Yes.
It tells Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran the West will talk tough tough after the massacre, but will fold under pressure when Israel defends itself. It tells Israeli citizens that even our friends hesitate to stand with us when it matters the most. And let me say this again so it's absolutely clear. The Jews are first and the Christians are next. Don't wait until it's too late. So I want to explain that. The pro-Palestinian hate marches in London and New York are not just against Israel and the Jews, but it is mainly about America and the West, the values of freedom, of liberty, of democracy. They're not just burning Israeli flags, but they're also burning your own national flag during these protests. They're not just, they're doing it when they're doing it and burning your national flag. You need to understand it's not just about supporting Israel or Palestine. It's about the people, it's about supporting either the people who burn your national flag or the one that actually waves it proudly. That is your choice. The biggest lie the pro-Palestinian mob is chanting in Western capital is that Israel is an occupying power, that what you see here is colonialism. This is complete rubbish. Israel is the only case in history where its indigenous people have returned to their homeland whilst revitalizing the land, reviving its language, and reaffirming the promise made to Abraham by God that this is the promised land for his chosen people. You dig anywhere in the old city, and you will find so many examples of the original Jewish inhabitant of this land, our ancestor. To claim the Jews are colonialists is to ignore history, refuse to acknowledge the Bible, and have zero idea about archaeology and science. Not fight for conquest, but to defend life and liberty. May God bless you, may God bless Israel, and may we all unite together under his blessing. Thank you very much.
You recently did an interview with the NRK, and it's been a lot of publishing about it in Norway. What is your message to Norway right now?
Well, I think they should look into regulation about trying at least to look like there's objective journalism. Unfortunately, time after time, there's lies, misinformation and blood libels that is being spread on Norwegian media. We've seen it many times. I think there should be a responsibility for journalism, because what we've seen, especially in the last couple of weeks, is that those blood libels, those lies are demonizing not just Israel, but the Jewish community. And that is actually promoting actions for violence against Jews, against Jewish communities, and against supporters of Israel.
Thank you so much. Do you also have a message for the Norwegian Israeli friends or Israel friends?
Absolutely. So also in Norway and also in Sweden, I know it's been a tough period of time, and I think that makes it so much more incredible, the love, the support, and the prayer that we've been receiving from the community in Norway and in Sweden. This has given us so much strength here in Israel to know that during these times we truly have true friends who stands beside us. What do you think?
Yes, and you are a soldier in Israel?
Indeed, my name is Chaim Mailspin. Chaim is how you say to life. You raise your glass. L'chaim, it's not to me, it's to life. And life, and I believe in preserving life and defending Israel. And that's why I did say yes when I was called, even though I'm a little older than some of the other soldiers, I was called to go and defend Israel, be a shepherd of the flock of Israel. And so it's been 600 days today, my 600th day, consecutive day being deployed to defend Israel.
You know, in Norway, we often hear that they would want to arrest Netanyahu or Yoav Gallant if they ever set their foot on Norwegian soil. And also we have heard that some Israeli soldiers had been in danger of being arrested in Norway. Because, you know, in Norway it's viewed like you are doing something terrible to Gaza right now. What would you say to the Norwegian people about how you are operating?
Well, there are certainly many lies that one of the reasons why I'm a spokesperson also for Israel. I'm not hired by Israel. I just myself, as a citizen here who grew up here and who served in the army for 20 years, I actually know what I'm talking about, unlike many others who just push lies that maybe the Hamas or Islamic Jihad or Izz-al-Din al-Qassam or Hezbollah or the Muslim Brotherhood itself is pushing, because that's one of their ways to fight against the West and against anything that's Judeo-Christian faith. So I would say that it's very sad that Yoav Gallant, Netanyahu, and any of the other ones who are tasked with the duty to defend our citizens and make sure that rockets won't be firing on us, blowing us up. Doesn't matter if the Iron Dome works or doesn't work. If it works and some of them are stopped and some of them get through, no, they're not allowed to shoot rockets on civilians. And I know that whenever I do these videos, I want people to know the truth, but many times they don't listen. The only thing that they'll listen to in Norway maybe is if it happens to them, if they get rockets fired on them. Maybe that's the only way they'll understand, if they have not just rockets, if they get invaded and they're women raped and a whole bunch of, a percentage of their population taken as hostages and held in prisons underneath the ground, like in tunnels. And I've seen these, I've been in tunnels also in Lebanon and also in Gaza. But I would tell people there that no, Israel is actually not only doing more than any army that I've ever seen to preserve life, with dropping leaflets, with warning before, with the knock on the roof, like a little boop, to know, hey, we really need to take out these rocket launchers, because these rocket launchers can't stay here and launch on us, on our kindergartens, on our schools. So, and then also, we don't go around like other countries with everything on automatic. You go and you have it on safety on, and you go, and when the threat is, we're not even allowed in normal time, I'm not talking about wartime, if someone's holding a Molotov cocktail, only when they throw it on us and it's actually hitting us, only then are we allowed to respond and neutralize the threat. So I've never heard of such level of care for human life in any other country. So that is how Israel does operate, to protect all people, even supplying, food, electricity, water, and to our enemies in the midst of a war. That's not a smart way to fight a war, by the way. It's not how any other country has ever fought a war in the history of the world that I know of. But some people just hold Israel to that very, very high standard, and we want to do the best. And I do believe we have this thing called purity of arms, which really, really states do everything possible to not inflict unnecessary harm. But you must go and stop the murderers. You must go and stop the terrorists. You must go and bring back security to our not only southern border, but northern border, and actually all over the land because of the missiles.
Because, you have some people would say that you have a rumor that you are very brutal and you carry a really big weapon. But I heard that when you spoke here last year, you talked about your weapon as like a shepherd's staff. How would you explain that?
Yes, indeed. It's that I look back to the Bible, to our history, and it's kind of nice to have a whole book that people know about, telling your own history, and know we're not a different race of people. We're the same Jewish people that came out of Egypt, the same Jewish people who have come home to our same promised land that God promised us. And I go back to a story of our history, a guy called King David. He wasn't a king at the time. He was saying how when the lion and the bear would go and try to take the sheep from the sheepfold, he says, I'm a good shepherd. He would go and not only bring the sheep to the water and to the grass, but he would go and fight the lion and the bear. Imagine if a wolf comes and steals a lamb from the sheepfold. The Bible calls Israel the sheep of the pasture and the flock of Israel. And so this wolf goes and drags a lamb, an innocent lamb, into like the Bebas children, like these 251 hostages that were taken and not all the others that were massacred, and goes and takes them to his wolf lair. You are a good shepherd. You have to get your shepherd stick and you have your rod and your staff, and you better go into that lair. In our case, it's a tunnel. You have to go into the tunnels of Hamas, Izzeldin al-Qassam, the Islamic Jihad. You have Jabhat al-Nusra, the Badr force in Iraq, Hezbollah. There's a lot of the Houthis, Iran itself, shooting intercontinental ballistic missiles on us. And, people even forget so quickly that we completely left Gaza in 2005. That's when I went in the army. I was there when all these Jewish people were dragged out, some of them by their hair, dragged out of Gaza. And so there were no Jewish people. It's just beautiful. Today, I was in an extremely beautiful house in Gaza. Went inside. The people had left, and we took over it as a command post for a while. And it's beautiful pool. It's like the richest areas Israel has. That's how these houses, and it's not one house, that's how these houses, fancy cars. And you wonder what causes, if there's no Jewish people, they never met a Jewish person. They were babies in 2005, and now they're adults, 18, 19, those that were infants in 2005 are now adults fighting us. What caused that? It's bad parenting, it's lies, it's indoctrination, it's lies. It's not because Israel is doing something to them that caused this. That's what you think in your Western mind. If someone does something mean to me, then I do something back to them. But that's not the case here. We left Gaza entirely. The only thing we did is supply lots and lots of jobs. My brother, I'll tell you one more story. My brother, Hamas killed a dear friend of his, and it's a long story, but they killed him. And so then he's working in Tel Aviv in this skyscrapers, working on skyscrapers. And a lot of workers would come and work. And he started talking to them. He said, "Hey, you speak Arabic?" He speaks very little Arabic. Shu is small. Jibil, would you like to have some coffee? Kawa, and talking with them. And he was feeling like, Hamas killed my friends. He's like, "How did you get here?" And they're like, "Well, we crawled through the fence. There's a fence opening that we know about." They were honest. And they said, "Well, there's a fence opening and we crawled in here. And are you guys like affiliated with Hamas?" "Oh yeah, we see them. We're essentially people that could have been Hamas, literally just going, we're giving them jobs." Those were obviously illegals, but we're giving all kinds of people through that we check for weapons and give them jobs, water, food. Egypt doesn't even do that. And people don't know this stuff. So what would cause them to go from people with fancy cars, nice, gorgeous, a huge pool like Herzliya, Savion, Tel Aviv, rich, giant houses, okay, to go from, some people had that, not everybody, some people do, and the gold market, the shops, the beachfront. So what would cause them from that to become Hamas? And it's called indoctrination. That can happen anywhere. I'm warning you. Chaim, my name is Chaim Mailspin. Remember this moment. I'm warning you. It could happen to you. It could happen to you in Norway, where suddenly it wasn't because you were being mean to anyone. You were actually being nice, or very not strong, and not secure, and not definitive in your borders and what you're willing to permit, and the type of things you're willing to permit in your country that might go against your own constitution, your own way of life, and you may be attacked. I don't want this to ever happen, but then you'll understand what we're going through. It's not because we did something, it's because of indoctrination and evil teaching, radicalized teaching, which can happen anywhere.
Thank you.
Shot in cold blood, a young, beautiful couple, Yaron Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram. Yaron had just bought an engagement ring for Sarah. He was planning to give it to her in Jerusalem next week. They were planning to start a new and happy life together. Well, that tragically did not happen. Yaron and Sarah weren't the victims of a random crime. The terrorist who cruelly gunned them down did so for one reason and one reason alone. He wanted to kill Jews. And as he was taken away, he chanted, "Free Palestine." This is exactly the same chant we heard on October 7th. On that day, thousands of terrorists stormed into Israel from Gaza. They beheaded men, they raped women, they burned babies alive, they butchered 1,200 innocent people and took 251 innocent people hostage to the dungeons of Gaza. A short time afterwards, Chancellor Scholz of Germany visited Israel. And after he saw the horrors, he said to me, "These Hamas terrorists are exactly like the Nazis." He was right. And if they could get away with it, these Hamas terrorists would have slaughtered every last Jew on earth. For these neo-Nazis, Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler. They don't want a Palestinian state. They want to destroy the Jewish state. They want to annihilate the Jewish people who've been in the land of Israel for 3,500 years. I could never understand how this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, and others. They're now proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. We got the most savage slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust.
Relevant for autoimmune sykdommer og aldringsprosesser. Beskytter celler mot